Start with fire, add oil, let it simmer. From the crew at 58 Surf and Stab, this isn't just a podcast, it's a sensory experience. Fresh from the coast, full of flavor, and prepared to perfection. Well, kinda. This is 58 Surf and Turf. Let's get cooked. All right, welcome back to 58 Surf and Turf. Our guest this week is Miguel Blanco. Miguel, I'm just going to come right out and say, I think you got one of the craziest waves I've ever seen ridden in this nation. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know which one you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I would say it was probably one of the biggest barrels ever caught in Portugal for sure. But yeah, it's hard to tell. Maybe paddleable. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I was just stoked to get that wave after so many years of getting absolutely destroyed at that wave.
Yeah.
It felt good to get one.
For a bit of context, it was one of the left slabs here. Don't have to name names. You could probably figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
That was 2 winters ago, right?
That was actually last winter.
That was last winter.
That was last winter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was last winter. Yeah. Well, we're in March. We're in June, July. We're in July. It was this winter. So yeah, it was the past winter, not this last one, the second one.
And it came out in the edit you dropped like last
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of last year. So the wave was caught in the beginning of the year.
Nice.
But yeah.
I need to just spend a little bit more time talking about this wave. Do you remember how long you waited that day for that wave?
It was really cool. It was way different from any of the other sessions that I've had, because usually I just get to the spots and usually like my first or second wave, they're usually the best because I'm with all that energy.
Yeah.
But that day started like very different from all that we usually have in Portugal, because we were coming from a series of really good waves, but that morning was kind of foggy, kind of like a little bit of morning sickness. So we just like rocked on the beach. I was like checking the whole scene, people already paddling out, and I don't know, it didn't like, when you feel like the waves not really talking to you. So I just like mellowed down a little bit. Usually because it's like really big waves and scary, I just stay in the car by my own, so I try to like get in my little zone.
Yeah.
And then when I eventually saw like the potential getting better and better, I started getting out there. So I took like maybe an hour to pedal out, which is pretty long, especially in Portugal, because you want to hit it like really early first light because of the offshore winds. But yeah, I got out and, the session was going on. There was Nick in the water, Pedro Calado, couple boogie boarders, classic locals, other surfers. But it's a really takeoff area. So people are getting waves, but they were not getting like any real crazy ones. Then eventually Pierre got a really nice one. I think Nick got a really good one. We were in the water. I just got like a couple waves, nothing crazy. Couple wipeouts. I had like a big wipeout, like kind of in the middle of the session, where I just like free fall from the top, just like whoa, got absolutely pounded. I remember I almost broke my board. I got caught on the inside. I got stuck in the rip. I got like all the way to the left, almost like on the next beach, and I was like about to like give up and say, dude, I'm just gonna call it.
Yeah.
But there was something in me that was like, all right, just hang tight, just chill out, try to relax, paddle, and then you paddle back out. I was riding a 6.6 quad with impact vest, 4 millimeter wetsuit. So you're like a little bit stuck, but I eventually made it. And then, and the end of the session, eventually, where everyone was already out of the water, there was just me and 2 other guys. We're just sitting, tide was coming up, session was about to finish, but there's always that little window in the end, and this bomb just came. I saw it like in the back. I remember I was sitting next to a boogie boarder, and when I saw that thing coming, I flipped around, I paddled deeper to where we were sitting, and then I just turned around and went. I didn't think. I just pulled in the barrel. I barely made the drop. And when I hold the line, I saw like this huge thing. Like, hold it. Then this big spit, like just exploding and throwing me out of the wave. And I was like, what has just happened over here? I didn't know, like, when you're so on that flow kind of state, when you're so focused, when you're like put so much energy into things that you really don't know like what's going on actually.
Yeah.
It felt good, but I didn't really know if it was that deep or something. I just had like a really good feeling and I came straight in.
Yeah.
I didn't even kick out of the wave. I just went on the white water all the way to the inside. And I kind of had a feeling it was a good one. And when I came through like the parking lot, everyone just started like claiming.
Oh, really? Were they going nuts up
They
there?
were going nuts. And I was like, okay, kind of, it happened. Finally, it happened. And yeah, it was, I think that wave, it was another wave that really stuck into my career and that people recognize and know me about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Would you say that was the best wave of your life?
Maybe, huh? It
Yeah.
might be one of the best waves of my life. I got a really big barrel in Mexico, 2018. I got that Nias wave in 2018 as well. I got a really, really big barrel at Chile 2019, but for the size of that wave, for how hollow it was, for being a boogie board spot and not much people surfing actually have got proper waves there.
Yeah.
Rather than Nick. I think it might be one of the most like memorable waves for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm noticing a bit of a theme here. Well, obviously I already knew this about you, but you're just talking about really big barrels. When you look back at some of the favorite waves you've ridden, how did you kind of develop that? Because obviously, you grew up like every kid who falls in love with surfing. You are pushing to competing pretty quickly, right? I mean, just like probably any other sport, if you're good at it, you're going to go into a little system where there's people can help you and, you're pushing yourself. But what were those early days like for you?
It was exactly what you said. And exactly what you said. When I just found out surfing, I just knew like I wanted to surf for how long, like I knew I wanted to surf.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want to go to school. That's for sure. I wanted to surf the whole day.
Is definitely better than that.
This is definitely way better than that. So how am I gonna like make it happen? And obviously, when you get with people, I was like, first my parents start looking for kids my age that surfed as well and that could, maybe they had some sort of a reference of who could like help me out surfing because my parents didn't surf before me. My mom's actually from the mountains in Serra da Estrela. My dad's from Lisbon. So surfing was something very fresh and that I didn't know anything about it. So I started, like in school, I started surfing. Then they put me into a little group of kids that surfed. They were all my age. And that's how I've also made really good friends. Vasco, Zé Ferreira, Kikas, all those guys were training with these guys, Nuno Telmo and David Raimundo.
Yeah.
One of them is even the national coach right now for Portugal.
Mm.
And the only way that they knew what surfing was through surf competitions.
Yeah.
That's how they knew how you could get recognition, how you could get sponsors. And in the end, it all seemed fine for me because every weekend I was getting picked up. We were going to go somewhere for like a contest where you're just hanging out with your buddies on the beach the whole day. And that was fun. That was super cool. Eventually, of course, they start putting me, into more of a competitive kind of zone where I was actually training and I was going to the gym and we were surfing, getting filmed, working on contests, getting prepared. And it was something kind of natural for me that if I just wanted to surf, I had to do contests.
Yeah.
Because that's how I was getting sponsored. That's how I was getting paid. That was what initially started making me like go to different places to surf different waves. Because like every kid, all I was watching was the Dream Tour.
Yeah.
There was guys shredding and ripping and snapper rocks and Fiji chopes. And I was watching those things. I was like, wow, this is a dream. This is like a dream, you know? I still remember the first contest I've ever seen in my life. I was 7 years old, and it was right here at Ribeira d'Ilhas. It was one of the like early QSs they made, and that thing, that feeling that I had when I was on the beach watching the whole thing, the guys shredding, people on the beach yelling, like throwing the flags, Saka was ripping, so everyone was like with the Portuguese flag around, and the babes, the setup, the parties, the whole thing.
You're
I was like,
this is the coolest shit ever.
This is it, you know, this is it. So, you know, and then, I don't know, I felt like my life started making me go into this competitive zone on my, I would say, first half of my surfing career, I would say. And then where I am right now, it's pretty cool because I feel like I don't depend on contests or surf events to fulfill my dreams as a surfer. That is to just travel and get the most crazy waves and have fun and live an adventure that I'm just happy to, when I get older, to tell my kids and maybe like inspire them to do something, to get off the couch and go surf, or, you know, just be creative, do whatever like you feel like doing, and don't follow everyone's path, because if everyone's just going into a dead end, doesn't mean that you have to go with them, you know? Like everyone's unique and just got to do your own thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think it is still, I think, the natural starting point. Like, I think even when you consider most free surfers these days, it's very rare as like a 12-year-old who falls in love with surfing to not dabble with competitions, right? Like, it's like kind of the most, it's going to happen. But it is sick that people like you are able to, you know, do something that you're more passionate about rather than just like keep surfing for scores. Cause it's just, I mean, surfing benefits from that too, right? Like it would, yeah, like still watching comps is the sickest thing.
No, it's very important. It's very important even for kids to push their levels, to start like being with other really good surfers as a kids, and, you know, start traveling, get out of your comfort zone. And the truth is like that we have to be honest and say that maybe 90 to 95% of the best like high performance surfers, they're on the world tour because they're trying to win world titles.
Yeah.
Because they actually rip. And it's amazing to watch, especially if the waves are good. But the truth is that I think surf competition makes you push your levels of surfing as well, and push the boundaries to whatever surfer you can become.
Yeah.
Even like small wave and big wave surfer as well. Because you see guys pushing the limits in front of your eyes.
Totally.
And if they go do it, you're like, wow, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah, I kind of have to do it. I've got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He's got an 8. So
exactly. So I better do something.
10-footers swinging my way, and I guess I got to go. I have priority.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you, like, do you remember when you started getting more and more comfortable in bigger waves? Because it does seem like that's a strength for you now. Do you remember, maybe I'll flip that question and say, do you remember being afraid of them? Like, do you remember like...
Jesus. Dude, I used to be so scared of waves. You have no idea. I used to block. I used to have like so much ache, and I was like totally blocked. I'm like, I was looking at the waves. Like, I remember we had this like after those first years, when I started training with them, with David and Telmo, we used to have like this internship that we used to come here for a week and watch the comp. And dude, there was one day there was like 4 to 6 foot Ribeira. I swear, not bigger than like 4 6 foot. And I was just frozen. I couldn't even like imagine myself like, how could I get out there and start like getting these waves? And one of the guys that pushed me the most were definitely my coaches, because they always put us very outside of our comfort zone, like very outside, you know, get everyone together, paddle out, no excuses. And we were like, but I don't want to. It's like, no buts, just get out there. After you get a wave or two, you can come in. I was like, okay. So let's try to get with that one
Okay.
wave or two, you know? And I mean, it was a process like everything. I started being like really scared when I was like from 10 to 12, 14, I was really scared of the waves. Then when I started getting to 16, I started coming to Ericeira lots more. I started connecting with guys like Ruben Gonzalez, with Antonio Silva, and the photographer Ricardo Bravo. They slowly start taking me out to different places like Cochos, Cave, even to that left bunker. It's pretty funny. I have a video when I was like 15 or 16 years old, just free falling off that bunker again. I think I was riding like a 7.0, like from someone, like, you know, one of those stories that you're like, oh my God, what are you doing, dude?
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like you've pulled that move a few times. If that even happened. I mean, it's understandable that wave.
Yeah, it's kind of gnarly, but and then, you know, slowly with time going through, one thing that was really good of me staying like very tight on competitive surfing is that I was very fit. So somehow I was very confident with my body and my skills.
Yeah.
And in Portugal, we have big waves, big storms, and we have all kinds of waves. So at one point, you know, I was getting to Carcavelos, the beach breaks, and next day I was going to Super Tubos. Then eventually I started coming here to Ericeira and just start like stepping it up more and more until I was 18 to 19. I started towing. It was my first time ever towing. I had absolutely no idea of what was going on. I didn't know how to grab the rope. I didn't know how to put the straps on the boards. I didn't know like how to do the rescue or how to get rescued. I didn't know shit. And the guys put me out at Cabo Ras. Dude, easily like 15 to 20 footers.
Yeah.
17-second period. So there's like a set with like 10, 15 waves. And the guy that is driving me starts, go, Miguel, go, this one. And I'm like, dude, but this is like a 15 wave set. And you're like trying to pull me on the first one that it's like on like over the rocks with like 15 other waves coming on the back. They're gonna like break in the middle of the ocean. But you know, as a Grom, you don't know what's going on. And the guy kept just saying, go, this one. I was like, okay, whatever. So he puts me on the bump. Dude, I'm like riding the wave. At the end, it closes out. I couldn't even step out the wave. I had to go straight. Got exploded. Nightmare. Long story short, I got hit by like other 10 waves. The guys tried to rescue me. I didn't know like how to even jump on the slab.
Yeah.
And eventually just went to the rocks. I had to climb over the rocks. I got all cuts everywhere, like shit show. Absolutely shit show. This in Cabo Ras, like hundreds of people watching on the lighthouse, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm embarrassed or if I'm just like trying to survive over here or what's going on. And yeah, but this to say that since like early days, somehow the people that I got involved with and went surfing with took me to places that I was naturally out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that was what made me like step up and try to find a way to feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah. Well, you've cracked that.
Yeah. Sometimes I still block like a lot of times. I feel like sometimes you get into your head too much but these days I've started listening way more to my gut feeling to know when to go and when not to go. And that's very important. Like I'm glad to say that in the last maybe 2 years, I didn't have like any crazy, like scary moment. Maybe I've had in Mavs. I got like really pounded. I saw stars and that was kind of scary for me.
Did you fall or did you just get caught?
I fall. I mean, I got caught by the wave. I went for that swell 2 years ago where it was like giant in December. It was really big. It was kind of stormy.
Yeah.
I've never surfed Mavs before. And we just went out.
What a day to start.
Beautiful day. We went out at dark. It was massive. I don't even know how big were the waves. We were definitely like 30 feet. And and the wave just broke really on the outside. It broke like outside of the ledge, and I didn't really know the line I had to take, so I kind of went a little bit too straight, and when it hit the ledge, the wave kind of speed up. Ooh. And I didn't get that same timing, and I just got absolutely blasted. I didn't see anything. I came up like all gray, seeing stars. I finally see, I get caught by another wave. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna like pass out. I don't have too much air. I need like, but just don't panic. I had pulled everything that I had. Like, I was like, just save you, just whatever comes, any air. And eventually the guys picked me up and I called it a session right away. But other than that, lately I have been like very lucky and more focused into picking my timings.
Yeah.
Because especially with Nazare, what these guys are doing these days is crazy, man. Like the guys are getting absolutely giant waves, but they're surfing on the most crazy and stormy days of the season as well, which it gets to a point that, all right, surfing really big waves is super dangerous, but surfing really big waves on ugly conditions where there's so much storm waves coming from all sides, super risky, that's like really taking it into like the whole new level. And you see there's guys at Nazare that if they want during winter, they almost surf like every day, you know? And
as long as it's big,
it's out there. And that's putting, well, at least it's full in my perspective, but I feel like that's putting your life in risk way too often, you know, like way too much. Kind of like gotta balance it out and kind of feel it. All right, maybe it's a good time for me to go. My team's ready. We got the boards ready and sun is shining. So maybe it's a calling, you know, just get out there. Because when it gets into big wave surfing, it also gets a lot into ego stuff.
Yeah.
Where everyone wants to get the biggest wave or do the craziest show, and you know, just to post that wave or that photo or that frame on social media. And you know, and surfing, at least for me, is something way more special than that. Something that is the ultimate connection between you, nature. You're riding a wave, and when all comes together, that's when the magic happens. Even if, well, it's amazing if you have a footage of it and you can see and share with your buddies and stuff. But, you know, just being able to get that really good wave that, you know, you've ridden to the best, and like it kind of fulfills your hunger for waves. And like when you let it all out and it comes together, it's like very magical.
Yeah. Yeah. What's it like? I mean, just hearing you talk that way, I feel like there's a lot of people who surf Nazare that, like, you think about guys like you and Nick, and put you guys in any good waves anywhere, you're gonna get a psycho one. If there's psycho waves, you guys will figure them out. Any reef, any point, anywhere. There seems like there's a sect of people that surf that wave that statement wouldn't apply to. That they seem just like kind of more obsessed with just like surfing that thing than anywhere else. Is that like, do you think that's kind of weird?
That's weird, and it's a big turn off for the whole Nazare scene, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like even at Nazare, you can feel the difference between people. They're there for surfing reasons because they're surfers. Because if they didn't have 5 skis in front of them, and if the waves were not 100 feet, and if they were 10 feet perfect on the shore break, they would get their board and they would go surf either way and get barreled and be as stoked as surfing a perfect 3 or 6 foot wave as you are on surfing a 60 or 100 feet wave. Like the stoke has to be the same because you're doing kind of like the same thing. Of course, you have the adrenaline rush and that whole scene around, and that's what I feel like people are more addicted to it for. That adrenaline rush of surfing big waves or making you know, or telling those stories and getting that recognition after, rather than just really being there for appreciating Nazare from what it is, that it's a beautiful place, that mountain and that lighthouse on top of a huge wave. It's like nowhere in the world you can see like such a big wave from that close, which is like magical, and just enjoying being in the water, you know. I feel like definitely if Nazaré was a place that people would paddle more than they tow, I feel like the people that would be in Nazaré right now would also be different people that that what we're seeing these days. But yeah, I try not to get too baffled about it. And somehow I try to
just pick your moments and enjoy it when
exactly.
You're there. Yeah,
just I don't want to be like just stay at Nazaré the whole winter, like just surf big waves and like, okay, you're gonna train like anyone else because Nazaré has big waves like almost every week, and it's the perfect place to surf, learn about big waves and that structure thing. But then at one point, you know, like I want to just still go down to Ribeiradillas on a 3-4 foot day on a 20 and just trip that shit out and just have the most fun ever and surf with my friends, you know. And the feeling, to be honest, is almost the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sometimes hard to pick whatever you want to serve, you know.
I think, you know, I know that you're being very genuine with that statement because I know you surfed earlier today. It's just very whatever waves. It seems like every time I talk, you're always getting in the water, which is
we try to.
Right,
you know, that's how we've all started, just like surfing, and we can't get too away from that. Got to remember where we came from.
Yeah.
To know what's the next step and where we can go.
Yeah.
So
I've actually felt bad for you, like when I saw that, you know, you can't park up on the cliffs at Reef and all that anymore. I was like, oh, I just thought, like, my heart kind of broke for Miguel. It's like you probably just spent so much time hanging out like pre and post surf up there.
Yeah, place is iconic. Even for my friends around they don't surf too, you know. They're just like, oh dude, I can't believe that thing's cold. You just want to grab a beer and go watch the sunset and see the wave. And I was like, dude, that's exactly the feeling of surfing, even though if you're not surfing.
Yeah.
You know, is that like post hang, just appreciation and
with your friends, just good people, and just have some music going, enjoy the whole environment. It adds so much to the experience of surfing. Than just like going, getting a few waves and then just leaving. It's like, it just really adds another layer to the whole thing, doesn't it?
100%.
Do you trip on, like, when you're talking about, you know, falling in love with surfing and then getting put into some programs and stuff, the names that you rattled off were gnarly. Like, that was such a successful generation in just even different ways too, you know, like Kika and Vasco have had crazy just competitive success. You and Nick have kind of went different but similar routes. Like, Nick is you create sick content too, but you do it in obviously a very different way than Nick. Nick's like more getting stuff out and telling stories in a different way. You're just like getting crazy waves, going on cool trips, and like showing people almost like this piece of art that you're making about what surfing means to you in a way. But do you ever trip on like growing up surrounded by people that really went on to do sick things?
100%. It was my biggest inspiration. Definitely have Kikas and Vasco surfing in the same contest as me, see them like absolutely ripping, smashing. Dude, I've seen Kikas, Vasco like comboing Medina, John, all those guys at the same time. I've seen crazy stuff. I think Vasco was the guy that I put on my shoulder the most to like cheer him up winning contests, and it was rad, like, and an inspiration to have it like right next to me. Then later in life, those three guys, Ruben, Antonio Silva, you know, the guys were like sending it big time. And even Antonio was one of the first guys to surf Nazaré, like really big waves and to get out there. Antonio was like an explorer. He's been to like, to Shipstern Bluff in Tasmania, like in the other side of the world, like just for surfing. Yeah. You think he cared about images or something? He didn't.
Like, that wave looks mental.
That wave was mental. You gotta go there. You gotta walk for 3 hours on the cliff, get down there and get a bomb. And I was like, whoa, dude, that's like some pretty high standards. But you know, like just that passion. And Yeah, later on came Nick and João Macedo, that the guys like showed me so much and gave me so much. I really appreciate them. But the cool fact is, while we were living all this, even when I was younger, we had Thiago Pires, who was on the WCT representing our country, Portugal, and surfing with my idols like Andy Irons, like Joel Parkinson, Taj Barrow, and I was like, wow, that's crazy, you know. And by being Portuguese, it gave us hope, gave us a direction, and it opened a lot of doors for us. 100%. I fully respect a lot what the guys did, especially Thiago, just coming from such a small town like Ericeira was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and just conquering the world pretty much. You know, it's true that the Portuguese history, it was always about exploration. You know, how we discovered Brazil and how we went to India and Madeira and all those islands. So I feel like all us Portuguese, somehow we have this adventure side in us, and that was the way that we could live, or we could express it through something so important and special for us, that was surfing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very inspiring to have them all together and showing the way, for sure.
It's interesting to hear you talk about like how meaningful it was to have Sokka on tour too. I mean, it almost makes me feel bad for, you know, a place like San Clemente where there's almost like always a few people from that one single town on the CT that it's like almost wouldn't even like, I don't know, imagine being like Cade Matson or something, and like you're on the tour for a bit and then you just go back home and your friends are still like on it, winning event. It would be like, I don't know, crazy to come from a place where, you know, you might not have even considered it as a possibility unless you saw a guy like Sokka there. You're like, wait, we could actually do that? Like I could surf with, like, I could be on the same level
as
world
like, tour.
Yeah.
And imagine Portugal 20 years ago. It had no one. It had like, you'd go to Ribeira, there would be like 5 or 6 people surfing. You know, like no surf culture. No one has ever like traveled much before. It just had the EPSAs, like the European contest, which was already like a big thing. And Thiago with Zé Seabra, they were like looking and just looking forward to strike the international world. It was really out there, and still there was a lot of people that didn't believe them, and they took out like the credibility of them, even in a sad way, but they just went and showed everyone that was possible.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Another question that's gonna be hard to answer. We talked about best wave of your life before, and you're just talking about just the, you know, ability to use surfing as this tool that lets you explore the world and see new places and do things. Do you have a favorite trip of your life? Because I know you've also been to some interesting places, and places aren't so, let's say, on the map for surfing. Do you have one that sticks out as just like the most fun or special trip that you've ever been on?
Hard to tell. I even get chicken skin thinking about it.
I knew this. I think this one might be harder than saying best wave.
I've had really different trips in different times of my life that have meant the whole world to me, just because of where I was at that moment of time. But I would say, all right, top 3. At least give me 3.
I'll give you 3.
Can I say 3? Okay, that's so fair. I would say probably Indonesia 2018, where I got that Nias wave. It was a trip that absolutely changed my surfing career, and it was probably the trip that, you know, I had lots of fun. I was going with absolutely no plan. I was just going to get some waves. I started a filmer, and I was almost on vacation, or, you know, of like competition vacation. So I was just surfing, and we got deserts. We had good times in Bali. We got those crazy Nias waves, that swell that was absolutely nuts. And I still had time to hang back in Bali with friends and family too, because my mom was there, and it was right after that. So it was the whole thing. Just
so much in one trip.
So much into just one trip. that really made me made me who I am today somehow. Also, another really cool trip that I did was to Tahiti in 2016. I was actually with my good friend Hugo Almeida. And yeah, it was good times, dude. Imagine like when you're 20 years old, you go for 1 month to Tahiti. We stayed at the friends at Matea. He welcomed us like so like with open arms, and we got to explore Tahiti. We went to Morea on his like little dinghy boat. We swam with sharks. We saw stingrays. We surfed chopes, like 6-foot chopes, like perfect.
Yeah.
Just like us and the boys out, just like 5 people out, like absolutely firing. And just that whole thing, you know, of being so far and from home in such a cool and unique place made me realize how good their life is actually, you know, and it was amazing to have a little piece of that, you know.
I've never been, but I don't think I've talked to somebody who's been to Tahiti and not been like mind blown by everything over there, the beauty of it, the people, just everything. It seems like
amazing. We stayed with Tahure at Chopes too. It was super cool. He had just moved from like bodyboarding to surfing, and he was still showing us the photo that of the wave that nearly broke his back, and he almost got like he couldn't walk anymore and stuff. But you know, just see that change into coming like a really good barrel rider today and such a unique character.
Yeah.
Making a sashimi every night, just that raw tuna. Yeah, it was amazing. That was amazing.
What else?
That's okay, that's 2, 3. You're right.
You got one more.
We got one more. I mean, I would say probably 2016. When I had just come off my junior career. Actually, it was the last year of my junior career. I was doing the European juniors. I was doing really good. I won the first contest, and then I've had some things going on, and I eventually forgot to do a few inscriptions of the contest. So it kind of changed things, and I ended up not qualifying that year for like 20 points, which was just like, I just had to make my inscriptions on time and I couldn't. But, you know, I was young, and I've always had to take responsibility for all my things, all my surfing stuff. I was like renting cars and booking my flights since ever, you know. I was always very independent in that, but that year I was 19 to 20. I didn't have a main sponsor because I had been cut from Quicksilver when they had the big crisis. I was like, fuck, I know I want to keep surfing, but I don't really know like if I want to like do it such a high level competition, and if so, how is it possible to like keep surfing and living off it. And I had finished high school. My mom wanted me to go to university, and my dad too. And I was like, dude, no way. Like, like that is out of question. Like, so I was in a moment where it was kind of defining for my career when I knew I wanted to surf, but I had no sponsor. I was getting pressured to go back to school, and the contests were good, but I had a little bit of lack of consistency as usual on the contest. And then somehow later in the year, I started working with Zé Seabra, and he was like, dude, just go to Hawaii and just surf for yourself, spend like 2-3 months out there, the first thing you want to go there is go buy a big board, get a gun, get out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, are you sure? He's like, fuck yeah, just go and do it. And I was like, okay, all right. And then I ended up spending almost 3 months in Hawaii. I did exactly what happened. The first thing, I bought a secondhand gun. I think it was a Bushman.
Yeah.
And my first session ever, big wave paddle session, was at Phantoms.
No way. I thought I was like thinking just classic, like either Massive Sunset or, the Bay or something.
Dude,
straight to Phantoms.
Straight to Phantoms. It was like 15, 20 feet. I had this vest that you click on here, those like
Wakeboard kind of
wakeboard
vest? Yeah.
vest. And I was like, well,
Phantoms it is.
Phantoms it is. This will have to do. And I just remember paddling out, and I saw Nathan Fletcher paddling out earlier, and I was like, okay, so if this guy's paddling from there, that might be the spot where I need to go. So I saw him doing, I went running home, I put my gear and I paddled out on my own. Just kept paddling, and eventually got out there and I saw those like massive waves. I was like, wow, what's going on here? On my own. Absolutely no experience on big wave surfing too, like especially paddling. And eventually I started getting a couple rides, and then I got like this really big laugh that just made it like all the way in from outside Phantoms all the way to
You
the
just
inside
showed
of
up
the
at
land.
Freddy Land.
And I just showed up at Freddy, and I was like, wow, this was the coolest shit ever.
Wow.
So I got hooked from that. And yeah, that trip also changed my life, because at the end of that trip, somehow I get a message from this guy at Rip Curl saying, yo, Miguel, what's up? We know what you're doing. You're doing good. Come over whenever you come back to Portugal. Let's talk. And it all came together. And then next thing I know, I signed with Rip Curl. Next thing I know, I didn't qualify for the World Juniors for 20 points. And he was here in Ericeira. And when I was thinking, I was like, dude, this is not even possible. Like at the other side of the coin, I just had to come off Hawaii. I started surfing big waves. I signed off Rip Curl. I signed with Rip Curl. And this trip to Caribbean happens where we fly to Guadeloupe and we get on a catamaran and we sail like a day to that right-hander of Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah.
And we surfed it like for a couple days. No one out, just us, absolutely firing. And I was like, wow, that was a turnover. And that kind of came together. It's like a fourth trip, but that was also like a very special trip for me.
I mean, just that moment coming together at that point in time must have been incredible.
Dude, when you're like absolutely on the other side, that you think, all right, maybe my surf career is over. Maybe I'm going to go back to school. I don't even know what's going on. To just like meeting this guy that was Zé Seabra that showed me the way and say, dude, go Hawaii, go get bombs, just park in there and surf, start surfing big waves, caught that wave at Phantoms, came back, signed with Rip Curl, and then next thing I know, they were running like a World Juniors here on a 1 foot wave at Praia dos Pescadores, where it was like howling onshore, the biggest storm ever. And I'm like jumping on a flight to the Caribbean at the same time to go and surf this wave with nobody out on a boat on a catamaran. I was like, this is bullshit.
You won.
What?
You won.
Yeah, it was like, dude, I don't even know where we're going, but let's just keep going, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is, I can't believe that story. I can't even imagine that all coming together at once. Miguel, I only have one more question for you. And we've talked a lot about big wave surfing in this podcast. If you had one piece of advice for people looking to not even surf big waves, but at least just like push themselves a bit, push wherever their comfort zone may be, what would that piece of advice be?
Just get out there. Just get out there. Don't think too much just because other people are skeptical about it or they're doubting themselves. Don't let yourself be on that moment as well. Just do you. If you feel like going, just go and do it. Don't second guess. And your first feeling is always the right one. So if you're feeling like you should go, just prepare yourself and go. Don't wait for anybody. Don't create excuses. Just feel it out and just enjoy it. Because in the end, it's all about surfing. You're in the water with your gear, maybe if you're lucky with some friends, and you're there to enjoy. So never forget to enjoy yourself.
There you go. Great advice, Miguel. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Sure.
Like and subscribe and all that. Sure, right?
We're doing it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, man, cool.
Sweet. Thanks, brother.
All right, dude. That went all right, huh?
Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool.